Hey everybody! Welcome to episode number 8 of Casting for Two with your host Chris. That's me, I'm Chris. You know, the one and only, but not really because there's a lot of people who are named Chris. So, I'm not as special as I think I am. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, how'd I get off topic? Oh yeah, because I was talking about me. Oh, me. But, just wanted to give a couple of shout-outs to everybody that listens. I'm very appreciative of you guys listening to my show. Lots of positive feedback. And once again, I'd like to also thank Ocean's 11 for giving me, letting me use their song. Again, go check them out. YouTube them. Good ska, reggae stuff, jazz, fusion, grunge. Not grunge, but I'm just talking now. But today on today's show, we have none other than actor/friend George Waters. I met him in film school. He's a very wise man. I think he listens to a lot of Bob Dylan, and I think Bob Dylan really makes people wise and stuff like that. But I haven't talked to him in a long time, so it's been a little over a year. So I decided to chat with him and see what's going on. And he's an actor. He's gotten some good gigs, some bad gigs, and I just kind of want to know a little bit more about them. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the sweet sounds of me talking to George Waters. And, Chris, cue the music, please. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, I really can't complain, my friend.
Right on.
Things are what they are. I had a couple of foot surgeries, actually.
Oh, what happened?
A couple years ago, I dropped something on my toe. No big deal. We've all done it.
Right.
And the nail bruised a bit, so I thought, okay, it's probably going to fall off. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen, but it sort of changed, and then it started to hurt, and it was actually waking me up at night. It hurt so bad. Mm-hmm. Insane. And so anyway, I went to see a few podiatrists. I was originally diagnosed with something called a traumatized toe, which I thought it was a joke. I actually laughed. But
right.
The nail, instead of growing to the side like it's supposed to, is growing down and back underneath.
Oh.
Yeah, so I ended up seeing a couple more podiatrists. Finally, someone recommended x-rays. So I went, and it turns out I had bone spurs. So I got the bone spurs removed. And they figured the nail should grow in fine after that, but it didn't, so I had to have the nail removed.
So you don't have a nail right now? Is it going to, grow?
No, it's done. It's my right big toe no longer has a nail.
Whoa.
So it's like 3 weeks now almost, and it's getting significantly better. It doesn't really hurt very much anymore, but it should heal fine. It shouldn't impact my life at all, but yeah.
Wait,
so,
okay, hang on. I'm fascinated by this. So basically, I mean, it's cool because you have one less toenail to cut.
Yeah. And if I ever decide to get a pedicure, I wonder if I get a discount.
Right. Or they could just put one of those fake ones.
Yeah, I'm not a fake nail person, but
I didn't think you were, but
Yeah. So I'm permanently missing the toenail on my right big toe.
That's. Man, I was talking to my mom. I wish I could have just get rid of my toenails. Because what's the point?
Well, I think I've actually, this is going to sound nuts, but when things happen, you ponder them.
Right.
So I was thinking that, I mean, what the nail really does is protects your fingers and your toes sort of thing. But right. I think it was probably a lot more important way back when, we were hunters and gatherers and things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, kids nowadays, some of them never develop wisdom teeth.
Right.
So it's just sort of the evolution. And yeah, I don't know, maybe having the nail removed is going to make me more highly evolved or something. I doubt it, but you never know.
Well, and it's, we're men. We don't do, I don't do pedicures or anything like that. So having nails on my feet just kind of, I could see where I need them on my hands, but my feet, it's like, who cares?
Yeah. I'm not a big sandal guy, and it was funny. It's all I could wear for about 3 months. I couldn't get my foot into a shoe. It hurt so badly before the bone spurs were removed.
Uh-huh.
So literally for 3 months I wore flip-flops, and it was back in Ontario. It was cold in like March and April, so it kind of wasn't awesome.
Right.
But yeah, I'm good. I'm back to working and stuff. And
that's good.
So how you been?
I've been all right. Just kind of taking it, one day at a time.
That's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Ryan Hurst on Twitter says, "Take it easy, but take it."
There you go. Who's that?
Ryan Hurst. He was Opie on Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, was he on Veronica Mars?
No. I don't think he was ever on that. He played Bertier in Remember the Titans, the football movie with Denzel Washington.
Oh, okay.
Done a tons of stuff. He's on King and Maxwell right now.
Gotcha.
Show with Rebecca Romaine.
Right on. Well, you know what? We should all follow his words.
It's funny actually. He has a lot of really good things on Twitter. Rambo Donkey Kong is his handle, and yeah.
There you go. Follow him. Shout out. But so George.
Yes, Chris.
We met each other, or I had the privilege of meeting you, and you had the privilege of meeting me in film school.
Yes.
And to which, well, first off, I've been talking to Jeremy a lot the past week.
How's he?
He's good. Yeah, he's just editing, being the same old Jeremy.
That's all he does, yeah.
That's all he can do.
I didn't say that, you did.
I know. That's all he can do is be the same old Jeremy.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant all he can do is edit.
No. He can only be himself.
Absolutely. And why would he want to be anyone else? He's perfect the way he is.
Yes, I agree. But I was talking about you because when I went and visited last September, you were in Victoria, and it was great to see you. And then I hear that you moved, and I asked him when, and he said, "What? How long has it been? 6 months ago?"
Pretty much Easter. I came back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I was a little bummed because one of my greatest regrets in my film career is not utilizing George Waters properly.
That's a wonderful thing to say, but I will be back. I'm planning with any luck, a January trip and really a couple years. I have an absolutely beautiful 2.5-year-old niece, and I wanted to be a part of her life. I didn't want to just be somebody that she sees at Christmas and on Skype.
Right.
So figured come back here for a couple years and develop a relationship, and then I'm free to go back to where I'm happy. I sort of figure I took a break from doing what I love and being where I love to be with who I love for a little while. So
there you go. But yeah, well, hopefully I get to work with you when you come back.
I certainly hope so.
Hopefully I can be up there too.
You looking at getting back there permanently, or just vacations and trips and working?
For right now, it's just trips, but the future goal is to go up there, live and work.
Me too.
Hopefully one day get that Canadian passport.
Well, we would love to have you here.
But when you were where did you live? You lived in Toronto before Vic, right?
I've lived in Toronto a couple times. Yeah.
Couple times?
I had lived in Toronto for 3 years, and then I moved to Ottawa, and then Niagara Falls, and then St. Catharines. Then I went out to Vic for film school, and then when I left Victoria, I went to Toronto, and then a little place called Peterborough, and then back to Victoria, and Niagara Falls right now.
Niagara Falls. Did they ever show you that Three Stooges short?
No.
You haven't seen it? It's this really funny short. Well, it's a Three Stooges episode where whenever somebody says Niagara Falls, either Moe or Larry, does this whole speech, and then they beat up Curly.
Really? I will have to look for that.
But yeah, the trigger word is Niagara Falls. So Niagara Falls. That's what I don't think of the falls. I think of that Three Stooges short.
It's funny the things that we connect to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we hear something and most people would think of one thing, but we think of something completely else because that's what interests us and that's what sort of tickles our fancy, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so what are you doing for work down there in Niagara?
A friend of mine took over a restaurant in March and needed some help, so I'm helping him out for a while. And I've got another surgery coming up in a few weeks. I'm having my wisdom teeth removed, so that's
jeez.
Yeah. Well, years ago, back in actually '99, I had an appointment to get them removed. '98, and my dentist said, "Do I have discomfort from them?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you have among the deepest roots I've ever seen, so we're going to wait until you start getting pressure headaches. It's going to kill us both to remove them." I started getting pressure headaches a couple months ago, so it's time. So I guess I came back to Niagara to get fixed, if you will, with my feet and my teeth and, you know, all this stuff. I suppose I can look at it like that.
I never had the privilege of having wisdom teeth.
Really? So you were one of the more highly evolved people I referenced earlier.
Yes, I am one of those mutants. But my dad didn't have them, but my mom and my sister did.
Yeah, it's not going to be the most enjoyable thing I'm sure I've ever done, but I don't anticipate it killing me. So, you know, it's one of those things you got to do.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Unless you don't have to do it, right?
Well, yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
No, you're certainly more fortunate in that regard.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about acting.
Okay.
I know some of the I don't know a lot of the projects you've done. I remember you were an extra before you were at film school.
I had done some extra work. I had done a few commercials. That would have been about 5-6 years before I went to film school. Acting's really what I want to do, but you do it for a while and then you anyway, for me, I get kind of discouraged, so I take a step back and I read an interview years ago with Brandon Lee. And, you know, he said, as an actor, if you can do anything else, anything, you should do that instead of acting because it's, you know, he didn't really elaborate, but it's filled with so much hardship and disappointment and things like that. So I took a break from it and it's all I wanted to do every day was thinking about it, you know, repeatedly, constantly during the day. So I felt that it was time to go back. And so I was fortunate to go to film school and then we did, you know, all those short films and then I finished that and I was fortunate to have the lead in Art's film and a good role in Louis' film, and Jim Knox was kind enough to throw me in there as Waterboy 2 in his film.
Nice.
Yeah, and then family being in Ontario, I like my family very much, so I thought, okay, well, I'll give Toronto another try. And obviously in Canada, it's Toronto and Vancouver for the film and television market. So went back to Toronto, and it's only an hour and a half from my family, so I had forgotten how much I dislike living in Toronto. It's a world-class city. It's a wonderful place. It's just kind of kills my soul a little bit. It's a bit of a concrete jungle. But anyway, taken some wonderful classes there, met some wonderful people. I did a United States Army training video, a couple of short films, and then I wasn't getting good auditions. The auditions were just continuously for commercials, and I wasn't really getting the chance to get in the room to be seen for other stuff. And when things aren't really going well, you know, like the professional athlete that is struggling, so he starts working even harder, and all he's really doing is screwing himself up by putting too much pressure on himself. So I was doing that, and I felt that I needed to recharge. So went back out to eventually back to Victoria, where I've always felt happiest. And I did a music video with Ben and Jeremy while I was there, and I feel like I did another short film, though I just can't think of it at the moment. And ended up back here. for about 2 years is the plan, and which time head back to BC.
Right on. And how did you get the acting bug? Were you like?
It's really, I mean, when I was 7, I wanted to be a professional wrestler, but guess that's acting in a form.
Yeah, it's a different type of acting.
Yeah, I outgrew the desire to be a professional wrestler fairly early on.
Right.
I was relatively athletic growing up. I played college hockey. I was a goalie, and played baseball for a while when I was younger. I'm a sports fan. I'm certainly not as avid as some people, but I'm probably a little more than other people. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, acting's really it's all I wanted to do, and I keep lying to myself, I suppose, when I try to persuade myself to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't lie to ourselves. It kills our soul.
Right. No, that's cool. But you didn't act. You didn't do any plays or anything. Like, what was the moment where, like, did you see a movie and you're like, oh man, that's like, did you watch Ghostbusters and you're like, oh, I want to do that?
I think back to a couple of the early movies that really did something to me. La Bamba.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the scene at the end when S.I. Morales yells out, Richie! That just, for whatever reason, I think it was about 11 or so when that came out, and that really hit me. And then I saw Say Anything.
Uh-huh.
And, I'd already seen Cusack in some other stuff like Hot Pursuit and Better Off Dead, and he was in Stand By Me, which I can't remember if that came before or after. Mm-hmm. But, Stand By Me was one of those movies. Say Anything. I think that came out in 87. I would have been 12. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was sort of one of the things. And I just hit high school and things were coming out like Pump Up the Volume and Heathers. And it was really an exciting time to be a movie fan. And I used to just, for my own amusement, I'd learn lines. I did acting in high school. I took all the classes I could. And I was doing a play, but I ended up getting sick, so I wasn't able to actually do it. It was fairly early on during the rehearsals that I got sick, and I missed about a week of school, I guess. So they just ended up casting someone else. I just played the sports as well, so it was tough to really do the plays and the sports as well. And at that time, I just, high school kid, I did the sports.
Right.
Yeah, it's what I had always wanted to do. It's at some point, it's what I've always felt I was supposed to do, and yeah, it's really the only thing I've wanted to do.
It's funny when you mentioned La Bamba, my mind, before you even said what the scene that inspired you, my mind always goes back to that scene of him yelling Richie.
Really? On the bridge or something? Yeah.
But no, that's cool. It's funny because I wasn't the most artistic guy in my family when I was growing up. I was more of the, and kind of still am the loner type.
I've always felt much the same.
But anybody who had the acting, like the major acting bug, was my dad and my sister. My sister would do all these plays, and I even tried to do one, but it got canceled. It would have been me running around singing and dancing.
I'd have loved to have seen it.
It would have been probably maybe, I think maybe like 11 or 12, around that age. So.
All right.
But yeah, no, it never happened. So.
Young Mr. Hernandez.
But I don't know. It would have been fun. But it's fun. The movie that really inspired me, which is kind of weird, was The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Well, why is that?
Because I became
40 yet. There's plenty of time.
Right, exactly. But the whole point of it's hard to say because it's a movie about just jokes and people talking.
Yes.
And so that really related to me on the one point where I was like, oh, you can do a movie of people talking, and I saw Clerks.
I was going to say, you've never seen a Kevin Smith film?
No, I have seen them, but the point where I got into Kevin Smith was like Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back, and I didn't really get Clerks, the first one. It definitely does speak to a certain generation.
No, certainly does. Sure.
But I don't think it was necessarily my generation.
Okay, how about Clerks 2?
Clerks 2 did, yes. That came out, though, after 40-Year-Old Virgin, though.
Yeah.
I remember, like, once I saw 40-Year-Old Virgin, I thought that's when I tried to write a script and all that. Just about stupid stuff, which I think I still have. I don't know.
I've got a few screenplays that I wrote when I was young, and it's funny to look back at them. Mallrats, my favorite Jay and Silent Bob movies, Mallrats.
Uh-huh.
Easily. I've probably seen that movie. It's been a few years, but I've easily seen that 50 times. And I'm going to go on record right now, Jersey Girl is not a bad film.
You know, it really isn't.
No, it's a heartwarming little tale. And Affleck's good in that.
Yeah, Affleck, Affleck gets, rap for doing crappy movies, which, I mean, sure.
That's a justified rap for a while there.
Right.
Since he's had that comeback, I mean...
Yeah, the second coming of Affleck.
Wow. I mean, when I watched The Town, and literally my first thought was I wanted to send him a message, say, way to go, but it's not like I had Ben Affleck's phone number or anything. But that was literally my thought. And I remember I was living in Burnaby, BC in 97, and I watched Chasing Amy. If memory serves correctly, I rewound it, this was back VHS. Right. I rewound it and watched it again right away because I so enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Kevin Smith, big fan of his.
Yeah.
Hi, Kevin.
Do you have a crazy on-set experience?
Crazy on-set experience.
And you don't have to name names or anything. Just something that went wrong, that was crazy, that I don't know, just a crazy experience.
I was doing the U.S. Army training video, and it was in Toronto a few years ago, and it was really pretty cool. What it was is they would, you'd pretend to be in like a certain country, like Panama or whatever, and it would show the troops coming in what some of the customs are and like what things are like there. So it's not like I was, out there with guns and things like that, but it was just, if you're out on a night off, like some of the things that can happen to you, and so it was actually pretty interesting. But they'd get these actors in that weren't actors. They spoke the language for wherever we were, wherever we were supposed to be, pardon me. And these people not being actors, they didn't remember lines, they didn't understand, cues, hitting mark, they didn't understand. So everyone that was actually associated with that project, from my understanding and speaking to a couple casting directors after, it kind of hurt to have on your resume.
Yeah.
And I had a great time on it. Met some really good people. There was one short film years ago that I did, and it was for a college in Toronto. And I thought, okay, film students, serious, like, as much as we were. We had fun, but
right.
I found out that it was for a broadcasting program, which, ironically enough, fresh out of high school, I took radio, TV, and film broadcasting. But anyways, these weren't filmmakers. And they had no idea what they were doing. They kept crossing the axis.
Ugh.
Like, to the point that, like, as an actor, my job's to do the acting and trust that the people that are putting it together know what they're doing. And they just didn't. There was, I watched part of the footage after, and they literally had cut off the one actor in half. They didn't know how to frame stuff up. They didn't know how to shoot anything. The mic, they didn't know how to use a boom. It was just a comedy of errors.
Wow. Okay.
It was just people that had never made a film were basically said, "Here, go make a film." They had no training, they had no experience, and the teacher wasn't really around, professor, instructor, whatever, to show them what they were doing. So it was at that point that I decided I'm really going to try not to do anything for free again.
Right. Unless
I know the people.
Right. Except for me.
Well, I know you.
Yeah, see, there we go. But right. Do you really?
As much as we can know anyone.
There you go.
So unless I, really believe in the project or something, I mean, that's, when you're in the middle of it, it's crazy. It may not translate as well as a story, but you're in the middle of it, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How about yourself? You have any good set stories?
I only have one. I think it was a year after I graduated. Was it a year? Yeah, it must have been a year or 2 years. But I just did a short with Jeremy. I think it's called Nothing Left to Be Done or something like that.
Which one was this one?
This is the one that him and
Is this the bus stop one?
Yeah, that's the bus stop one, yeah.
Okay.
And I remember at the time, Jeremy, either Jeremy asked or I said I will do it, and he didn't ask me, but I was, cast in this project. And I don't know where my brain was or anything, but I forgot the most important thing is to memorize your lines.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And I've written a lot of things with Jeremy, so I just thought, oh yeah, let me just pick it up and no problem, I'll do it the night before, it'll be fine. But Jeremy talks differently than I do.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah, and he's very precise with his wording. He's
Yes.
very educated, and I'm not that educated. I say dude a lot. That's where my vocabulary is.
I like that.
I don't mind dude. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. But so I remember I was doing that project, and I just had a hard time with the dialogue to the point where it was making me frustrated. And in the short, in the the bloopers, you can see me getting very frustrated with myself. Because not only was I holding him up, I was holding Ben up, I was holding some sound guy up. So it was making me mad. So cut to a couple months later, I did this acting gig. It was promotional, just promoting for some school or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure I memorized my lines for sure. Top to bottom, all of that. Because I didn't want this to happen again, and it won't happen again. And I sit down in the chair, and I'm talking it's just me and another older lady who's supposed to be a teacher. And she goes, hey, so do you want to run lines? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. How much of it do you have memorized? Oh, I don't really have a whole lot. And in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, good. Good. And so once we started filming, and, the first hour went okay. I knew my lines. It was easy back and forth, banter, stuff like that. There came a point when she started fumbling her lines. She had her script right in front of her, kept looking down at it, and then she had a full-blown mental breakdown where she kept yelling that she's better than this, she could do this, this never happens to her. She started crying, and I'm sitting there thinking, she's making me look so good right now. Yes. And then so she had to step out of the room for, whatever time to collect herself. So what the director decided to do was we would take it line by line, and we could have the scripts in front of us. Okay. And then this was, hour 8. And so I'm getting tired. I'm getting frustrated. I start to stumble a little bit, but not too bad. Like I forget a word or something like that. She has the script in front of her, and she's reading it and acting at the same time, but she's looking down at her paper, saying their lines, and then looking back up. Oh. And in my head, I'm just thinking, this is unusable, this is unusable, this is unusable.
I know.
This will not cut together, this will not cut together.
That's what I was thinking on that college production. And a couple of them had the scripts right in front of them as well. But yeah, it's funny, as you're thinking, this isn't going to cut together. Uh-huh. You're in the middle of it, and you're supposed to be in the middle of it, but you just get distracted by knowing that you're completely wasting your time.
Right, yeah.
I mean, one of the movies that I did, there was an actor that I was working with that would never do anything the same way twice, which, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But for the sake of continuity, cutting it together, you're in the middle of it thinking, none of this is going to work. It's wild, yeah.
Wow, that'd be so funny if there was an actor who was so into it. He's like, I don't do the same thing twice, so that's why I'm not going to say this dialogue. My character wouldn't say this dialogue twice. Like he was so method, and he was just such a dick like that. That would be funny.
He was a very nice guy, and you know who he is. I'm sure. I'm not going to say anything, but
Okay.
when we were doing Nighthawks, we did the open auditions,
Right.
and I can't remember the girl's name, but she came from Vancouver to Victoria for this, and I was there for the auditions, and she comes in, and it was about 45 minutes, no joke, where there were about 3 or 4 times we tried to start reading the lines, and like she would just look at me. There was one point where she started laughing hysterically. There was another part where she started sobbing, and this went on for like 45 minutes. Art finally had to say, "Look, I don't think this is going to work out." But she knew someone who was connected with the film who said, "You've got to meet this girl."
Right.
So Art gave her a lot more leniency than he would have anyone else. But it was, we witnessed a mental breakdown. Like literally someone, I think, having a nervous breakdown. It was wild. I don't mean to sound, heartless in saying that.
Yeah.
But it's an audition. Like you're expecting, okay, let's get the lines out. Like I was helping Art out. I was reading every character at the audition. So it was utterly wild. I mean, I don't know if he still has the footage of that. He would never show it to me or anyone else. He didn't think it was right, but oh my God. Crazy.
That's awesome. I still want to see my footage.
Dark and Dirty?
Yes. I saw him, last time I went to Victoria, and I said, hey, I saw Nighthawks. Where am I? Why did I get cut? And he started laughing, and I said, no, seriously, where's my footage? No, I'm just kidding. But no, I
remember the first cut was about 3.5, 4 hours. I've probably seen 20 cuts of that movie, and I mean, we had no budget on that. We had no time, and I think that we nailed some parts of it, but it's, we didn't have the time or the money to actually flesh things out. I mean, we didn't get any, we get about 2 takes, and then we had to move on because we only had the location for 3 days.
Right.
We had 10, 12 pages, I think, done the one day.
Yeah, I remember I was with you for one of those days.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the bar scene. Yeah.
Yeah,
and Jeremy, I mean, to try to get it done, he did us going from one scene to the next, and I mean, there was literally no stopping. It was one of the most difficult yet rewarding things I've ever done in my life. It was the best time of my life, the best every day. I'd go in early, and Art and I would talk about things, and there's best experience of my life. I wish to God that I think we shot the whole thing, including buying the camera for $3,500. Brutal.
Okay, if the Baldwins got into a fight with the Wayans family, who would win?
How many Wayans are there? 3?
No, there's Marlon, Keenan. I feel like there's 2 more.
So 5, we'll say.
Yeah, we'll just say 5. We'll even it out 5.
And how many Baldwins? Are we going to include... Is Adam Baldwin a brother or a cousin? Or
I don't think he's related, no.
Really?
I don't think so.
All right, well, Alec can be pretty, nasty. We've
Yes.
heard video of him calling his daughter whatever he called her forever.
Yeah, he can say insults at them.
Yes, actually, but I think he's probably found a little inner peace because, if I'm not mistaken, his new wife's a yoga instructor, so he's looking svelte.
Right, but he's got that pent up aggression.
Oh, absolutely, and
he's a Baldwin,
right? And William Baldwin, Billy Baldwin, he's been on Hawaii Five-0. A pretty good character for him. Stephen Baldwin, I just think, could lose his mind and just go postal.
Yeah.
If there's guns involved, I'm just going to say Stephen might just, and if I'm not mistaken, he's a seriously born again religious guy or whatever, so this was be out of character for him, I'm sure. But yeah, I think he could just go mental and just take everyone out.
Oh, okay, so you're saying in a war between the Baldwins and the Wayans, Stephen Baldwin would become the victor?
Just
if given a gun.
Go 3-on-3 because we can't think of the other Wayans. On 3-on-3, yeah. I mean, Keenan Ivory Wayans, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't scare me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Stephen Baldwin could scare me. And Alec Baldwin, he could be scary.
Mm-hmm.
I see the Wayans being, you know,
like
funny.
Like they'll tell a joke to you while they're trying to harm you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I mean, are we going to throw like the Zappas in there, like Dweezil Zappa and all that?
Well, what about the Wilson clan? You got Luke, Owen, and Andrew.
Andrew's the other brother that doesn't really do much acting, right?
Yes and no. I saw him in I think I saw him in a movie recently, actually.
Okay, well, Owen, I don't see him being a really violent guy. I think that Luke could really tap into some darkness.
Right, yeah.
And if things get bad, I read somewhere that he's a big runner, so he could just run to safety.
Right.
Yeah, and the other one, he's got dude's in shape. If I saw a picture of him a while ago, and I feel like he was in shape, so you know he'd be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time wondering which family would, take out the other one.
I do. Like, I think the Grandmaster family would be the Wahlbergs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Donnie and Mark. Boom. That's it.
Yeah. I watch Blue Bloods. You watch Donnie Wahlberg sometimes, and there's some episodes where like there's scenes, and he puts on an acting clinic. It's just so technically sound. It's ridiculous. I mean, you see the actions, you see the, like what he wants out of the scene, his goal, and it's just. I'm actually. I'm going to say this. Donnie Wahlberg blows me away sometimes as an actor.
Right.
I can't say that about Mark, unfortunately, but I like his work. I enjoy his movies. I think Donnie's a better actor, but Mark's obviously done okay for himself.
Right. Well, it's all that precise dance training he's had.
Is that it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's why he's very precise with his acting and with his movement.
Actually, that makes actually a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. It actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then I saw Two Guns, and like during the middle of it, I was just sitting there thinking, I can't believe we've come to an age where Mark Wahlberg is known as the comedic relief.
But I mean, look how good he was in Ted.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised that we have come this far in the world, and now Mark Wahlberg is known for his comedic skills.
Well, no one said that about Kristen Stewart yet, right?
I don't think anyone will ever say that about Kristen Stewart.
No, I'd really like to work in Into the Wild.
See, I've never seen that movie.
Never seen Into the Wild, man?
I've owned it for 6 years. I've never seen it.
An ex-girlfriend of mine had the book, and I read it, and I love the book so much that there were a couple of Christmases where I'd buy about 5 copies of it, and I would give them to people every year. Mm-hmm. And then when I heard that Sean Penn was doing the movie, he was always pretty much my be-all, end-all as an actor. And The Indian Runner, the first movie that he did, I mean, all I can utter is wow. It just killed me. So when I saw that he was doing it, I was sure I'd like it. And then, I mean, Emile Hirsch was so good in that part, and I can't say enough good things about the movie, but I also like those outdoor adventure stories. And there's one that was done in the 80s that had, like Scott Glenn was in it or something. It's called Survival Quest. Mm-hmm. And I like those outdoor kind of adventure movies that aren't relying on explosions and things like that. It's a good story, well done. Just watch Into the Wild, man.
All right, I'll check. No, there's only been one person to really tell me to watch it, and I told her I would, but I just never did.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know why.
We should.
Oh, okay. But, George, unfortunately, it's the time that we have to stop.
Wonderful talking to you, my friend.
Wonderful catching up with you. Like I said, Jeremy was talking about you, and I said, I haven't talked to George in a long time. My dad asks about you whenever I go to Victoria.
Oh, really?
How's George Waters? I go, he's good. You're his favorite actor ever.
Oh, he needs to get out more.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm just
I
saying.
appreciate that tremendously. Don't get me wrong.
There you go. No, honestly, I think it's because out of all, my film and actor friends, you're the only person who he knows the entire name. Because he doesn't know Johnny's, he knows Johnny as Bobcat. That's it. He knows Jeremy, Ben. That's it. He doesn't know their whole names. You, George Waters.
George Waters, yeah.
He knows, so. But, George, thank you for chatting with me.
My pleasure, my friend. Good talking to you. Stay well, and we'll both stay in better touch.
Yes, and we'll film lots of projects together.
Certainly hope so. So in about 2 years, we'll both be making our moving back to BC, right?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
All right. You take it easy, all right?
You too, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.